So if you're listening to this episode on the day it released, happy Martin Luther King Day. For me, being an African-American man, being a black man, this day holds a lot of significance. Because of the actions of Dr. King and all the people that came before and after him, I'm afforded many opportunities that wouldn't have been available to me 60 years ago, which is crazy to think, because that's not that long ago. You know, there was a time when I wouldn't be able to have the job that I have and live in the area that I live in and have the friends that I do. And I'm just very appreciative of the sacrifice that so many made before me. I think Dr. King has inspired so many with his words and with his actions. And that's why I just want to take a few seconds just to acknowledge him, acknowledge this day, and just share a little bit of my appreciation and gratitude for all that has been done to give me the life that I'm able to have now. So I just want to wish you all a happy Dr. Martin Luther King Day, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Popcorn Finance, where we discuss finance and about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. I appreciate you coming back for another episode, and today I'm really excited because I'm going to be talking about something that I was doing in 2018. So 2018, I set a goal for myself to read more because I was barely reading anything at all. I'm happy I did this because it gave me an opportunity to get to some books that I knew I wanted to read, but I didn't know if I'd ever have time to. But I focused, made myself sit down, read some more. And today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite books that I've read in 2018, and that was The Year of Less. And it was written by today's guest, Cait Flanders. So Cait, how are you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Appreciate you coming by and talking with me. And it's always nice to talk to someone who's in the same time zone that I am. It makes it a little more, a little easier to connect.
It's funny because there are so many of us on the West Coast, and yet I actually do feel like the majority of people we probably work with and connect with are on the East Coast. So
yeah, always. And it's like, hey, you want to meet at 7? They're like, sure. And I'm like, oh, you know, I mean 7 Pacific Standard Time, right? And they're like, oh, never mind, that's not going to work. So thank you for being on the same side of the world as me. I really loved your book because at first when I picked it up and I saw the cover, I saw The Year of Less, and I was like, oh, this seems interesting because, you know, it sounds like you're going to just not be spending money for a year. And I want to kind of see what that experience is like. And when I actually got into the book, I found out it was more than that. It wasn't just, this is what happened when I stopped spending, which that's in there too. But there's also a lot of personal stuff about your life and some of the other things that are going on behind the scenes when it comes to how you relate to money and just relate to all these other things in your life. So I really liked that. And it ended up really surprising me in a good way because it was just so much more in the book than I expected. It's one of those things where it's like a pleasant surprise when you open a book and it kind of just draws you in. And I'm a slow reader and I got through your book in like a week because it just it drew me in. I was like reading it on my lunch breaks at work. And, you know, I think I should also tell people the full title too, because it's The Year of Less, How I Stopped Shopping, Gave Away My Belongings, and Discovered Life is Worth More Than Anything You Can Buy in the Store. And I think that gives more of a complete picture of your book and what was going on. How often now do you get asked about your book and what it was like just not spending anything or limiting your spending for a year?
Oh, gosh. You know, what's funny is that I actually, in a weird way, don't get that many questions anymore. But it's because I've noticed that, and it's sort of been interesting for me to have to sit with. I've noticed actually that more people ask about the decluttering and about living with less, which I didn't necessarily think would be, I don't know, like the biggest part of what people reacted to, but I love it. I would actually say it's probably my favorite feedback when people do talk about the money side of things. But yeah, more so I'm noticing that more people talk about decluttering.
That was one of the things that stood out to me too, because after I read the book, I know I went through my house and I got rid of a ton of stuff. It was like this motivation. It's like, oh, let's look at all the stuff that's sitting here that I'm not even using and I'm just holding on to for really no good reason. And so I know I definitely got hit with the decluttering bug after I finished your book.
Well, and I'm not, it's so funny because like I obviously talked so much about how I did declutter and the things that I did get rid of. Yeah, it's just like interesting. And even the point that you made about how the book is a lot more personal than you expected. It's like I had to combine all of those things. I had to combine the financial stuff, the decluttering, but also the personal stuff, because our spending habits, the things we do bring into our home, or just the things we hold on to, like it's all personal and so much more emotional than we would like to believe. Like I think that's some personal finance rule that people would like to make a thing, which is like, oh, like money should just be a tool. It shouldn't be emotional. And it's like, yeah, but like that's not real life.
No, not at all. and it is something that's it's just so intertwined in life. You know, you can't really separate money from every other aspect of your life because it's all intertwined. It's not like there's not these clear separations between one and the other. You know, everything kind of bleeds into each other when it comes to how you feel about things.
Totally. And I mean, there's that quote that says, like, if you show someone your budget, they'll see your values. Right. And that's just there. And it's also like you could show someone your budget and know probably even what someone's going through, like if they're having a hard time or if they're just living maybe out of habit without being intentional. So it definitely is it's all combined. It all weaves together.
Yeah, exactly. It's all one life.
Yep.
I pulled a couple of quotes from your book, things that kind of really stood out to me and just things I thought about after I finished reading it. And especially on this side of talking about like the emotions and how that plays into everything. There's one quote. It said, "One of the greatest lessons I learned during these years is that whenever you're thinking of binging is usually because some part of you or your life feels like it's lacking and nothing you drink, eat, or buy can fix it." And I really felt that because, you know, there's times in life where you feel like you're kind of grasping for something and you're looking for something to make you happy or fulfill you, you know, whether it is financially, you go out like on a buying spree, or even if it's like with food. With me, I know that's something I do. Like if I'm like feeling down, I'll go grab something to eat to, you know, feel better. But it's always because there's something else behind the scenes that's causing you to do that. And you're trying to feel something else that's bothering you or something you feel that you need. And, you know, I don't know, what were your thoughts when you wrote this part of your book?
So I would actually be like remiss if I didn't mention the fact that was my intention for the entire book. Like before I even got started, I wrote a book proposal where you basically just outline everything that you're going to say in the book without actually writing it. This thing's like 40 pages long and you don't even write the book. Wow. But so I wrote that, and in the overview, which you're just kind of stating, you know, what the book's going to be about as a whole, I wrote that at the very end of it. And I said that if people were to take nothing else from the book or only one thing, like I just want it to be this. And it is that thought that like whenever you're thinking of binging on anything, that something else is usually going on. And my hope with it was just that people would start to pay attention. And I mean, with the book as a whole too, really coming at it from a place of trying to remove some of the judgment and shame and guilt that we all have when we do maybe binge or spend money on the wrong thing or whatever. Because for starters, I can't judge anyone. I've made lots of mistakes. But yeah, to just learn how to start paying attention. And then once we start paying attention to these things, our actions, our thoughts, like then we can create change. And the change being in that one that once you start paying attention, maybe you can actually just strip things back and start seeing what's really going on. Like I had never done that before. I had always acted on impulse. And now I'm like probably mindful to a fault. Like I'm very slow to move on a lot of things. But I would rather be on this side of it now because I'm so much more self-aware than I ever used to be.
Yeah, you know, that's funny that you said that because that's I'm in the process of kind of transitioning myself that way as well, from doing things on instinct. It's more like I have this urge to spend or to grab this thing because just because like I don't really have a good reason why. It just happens, and I'm not really thinking about why I want this or why I'm grabbing this, and it's just something that. You're right. You can't change your habits, whether it is financially or any other aspect of your life, until you understand why it is that you're doing these things, because you'll just easily fall right back into those same habits.
Totally. And like now I'm taking it a step further, just kind of in my own interest, like things I'm reading about on my own and kind of researching on my own is, I think that's step one, is really understanding yourself and how, like what your own habits are, like why you've been doing these things. And now I'm also looking at sort of the outside influences that have maybe pushed some of those things into us, like ingrained some of that into us. So like, yes, it's marketing, but it's also just our environment, our culture, the people we grew up around, even like the schools we go to, whatever, like we're influenced by everything all the time. And so, yeah, now I'm like taking it a step further, but the book felt like an incredible first step. Like it felt so good that I was able to kind of just share that thought.
So I hope you've been enjoying my conversation with Cait. We're going to take a break here for today, but we'll be back on Wednesday with part 2 of our conversation. In part 2, we're going to talk about the connection that exists between our personal relationships and the way that we handle our money. It's a link that I didn't really think about until this conversation with Cait. And we're also going to talk about the meticulous record keeping that Cait kept in the book. You heard reference many times throughout the year of less. She was tracking, how much she was spending, how many items she actually had, how many items she had given away. It's really interesting. I love stats and numbers, so this really fascinated me, and she gives some great insight into this and her process and what it was that she was doing. In the meantime, you can go and catch up with Cait over on Instagram at Cait Flanders, and that's spelled Cait. And if you haven't already done so, check out her book, The Year of Less. I really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite books of 2018, as I mentioned. I think it's definitely worth reading. There's so much to get from it. So make sure you check out Cait's book, give her a follow over on Instagram, and then come back on Wednesday for part 2 of our conversation. And just going to tease this out there, we're going to be back again on Friday for a bonus Quick Pop episode. So I'm just calling this the week of Cait because she's going to be on here all week long. I had such a great time talking with her. I want to share that conversation with you. So make sure you come back. But more importantly, hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll see you in a couple days.
Yeah, boy, keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.